Annie, and I'm here today to talk to you about the Council Climate Action Scorecards, which is the first ever comprehensive UK-wide assessment of actual council climate action of all 409 UK local authorities. So I created and founded these scorecards because I was in a previous job trying to support local campaigners to get their council to take climate action. But in 2019-2020, serious climate action from councils was relatively new, and no one really knew what good council climate action really looked like, if any councils had done some particularly good work, or how to compare councils against one another. So I volunteered and fundraised to make the scorecards a reality in order that they can shine a light on council climate action and make it understandable and hopefully a little bit more exciting to people like you. So we all know we're in a climate crisis, and if we really are to think global and act local, then we need to be looking at local councils for a low carbon future. Councils are responsible, amongst a lot of other things, the types of roads and cycle lanes that we use where we live, the houses and the other buildings that are built locally, and also the green spaces around you. Furthermore, the Climate Change Committee's sixth carbon budget report a few years ago stated that there is up to 30% of emissions that are within the scope and influence of local authorities. So that's a huge potential impact. And what's more, councils can also influence the national action. To give an example, it was only after the majority of local councils started declaring climate emergencies that the UK Parliament then went and did so. And we've already seen national government also adopting policies that are first trialled and worked in local councils, such as Warwickshire with biodiversity net gain. So last year, we measured the strength of all UK councils' written climate action plans to start with and published these results in January 2022. From this, we know that 340 of 409 local authorities have already declared a climate emergency, but emissions are still rising. This does show that councils are interested and want to do something, but they need some help. So the scores varied quite a lot. You can check them out online. The average score was about 50%, although scoring on average higher for Scottish councils than Welsh councils. But to give you an example, do you think Islington, where we are tonight, scored higher or lower than Hackney, another London borough? Lower. Scored lower. Hackney didn't have a climate action plan when we marked last year, so they scored 0. And in relation to the sections, so I've just chosen these two to compare. Do you think Glasgow City scores higher or lower than Birmingham in relation to education, skills and training on our scorecards? So they scored lower, and you can find out why by reading our full methodology and their climate action plans all online. But this is just the beginning. We are now about to measure actual council climate action, which is a little bit harder. So last week we launched our methodology, which includes 89 questions that we're going to be using across 7 sections, which is how we plan to measure council climate action. And there is a whole section on food, including food in schools. Our council scorecards are the first complete picture of actual climate action from councils across the UK. They're an accessible campaigning tool that help both campaigners and councillors to understand the bigger picture. And armed with this knowledge, they can then advocate for specific and targeted changes where they live. Put simply, you can't change what you can't measure. By creating these scorecards, we are also massively improving residents' understanding of their local council and improving the transparency of the minefield that is local government. So the aims of our scorecards are fourfold, and we know we already are and will continue to achieve these aims. So our first aim is to hold councils to account on their lack of or their good climate action. When we published the plan scorecards in January this year, we had exclusive coverage in The Guardian and over 120 regional and local media hits, which shows we were already holding councils to account publicly on what they were doing. We also aim to equip campaigners with increased knowledge so they can use the scorecards to lobby for effective change where they are. So XR Southwark used our plan scorecard work and were able to persuade their Southwark Council to rewrite their climate action plan to include smart targets and to make sure their council other policies and documents aligned with their council climate action plan. And that quote explains a little bit more about the impact of using our scorecards. We also aim to encourage councils to do more by highlighting the pioneering work that they are already doing against the odds and encouraging other councils to step up and do more. We regularly have over 150 councils attending our online consultation events, which shows that councils are interested and do want to take action and use our scorecards. And this quite exemplifies some of the impact that they think that our scorecards can have where they work. Finally, we work with other organisations to use this data to lobby for those national changes to give those councils further power and resources to take action. To give an example, our scorecards were used as evidence of council performance by the Scottish Accounts Commission in the Scottish Parliamentary Net Zero Inquiry. And our work is movement generous. We provide for free essential information that other campaigners and organisations use. So both the commitment and hope for the future, which are previous pictures here, ProVeg, who you've heard from, Friends of the Earth, Ashton, and loads of others regularly tell us about how they're using our work to improve their own work. Alongside these 4 aims, our overall aim clearly is to reduce carbon emissions in these localities. This is something we are measuring councils against in their climate action scorecards, so we'll know if we succeed if we can see those reductions happening. So currently, we have enough funds to produce these scorecards only once next year, this year, 2023. But we know that we can only have a real impact if we produce these annually in order to track the changes over time and see how councils are improving, we hope, year on year. And it also encourages campaigners and other organisations to be able to use these results again and again. So tonight, we're pitching for funds to make sure we can do this work again. We're a non-profit and we're already over halfway to securing next year's budget, and £10,000 would bring us closer to 70% of our budget for next year. So our primary costs are staff who manage all our many volunteers, create the scorecards, and over the 36,000 different data points that we're going to be creating in these scorecards. Like I said, our primary need is funding, but there are other ways that you can support us, which are listed briefly there. So we know local government is perhaps a little unsexy, but I hope tonight I've shown you the important role that councils can make and must play in the climate crisis, and shown you how our work is supporting those campaigners who are already pushing for those changes. Even if anything, I hope you'll now go online and have a look and see where your council scored on the planned scorecards. Do they do better than Brighton, where I live on 62%, or Richmond's here District Council, which is where Rishi Sunak's constituency is based, who only scored 32%. Thanks for listening.